Look out, Jack. You already know we back with another one. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button. Support the channel, you dig? Hey, shout out to Hood War Stories for this one. Hey, I say, buddy caught so many bodies. He was a legit nightmare for these boys out here. We finna see what they talk about. So let's get into this. I ain't gonna hold you up. I ain't gonna take too much of your time. Let's get into this story. So what we got today.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the life of Infant Nitmare. Dante Kennedy was born on December 29th, 1998, in Los Angeles, California. He attended Hillcrest Elementary School. He was raised in the Baldwin Village neighborhood of Los Angeles, infamously known as the Jungles, or the Jays, an urban fortress composed of high-density apartments and tropical vegetation. The Jungles are still unsafe today, but in the early 2000s, it was on another level. Those were the training day days. Guys 20 deep in red on every block, monitoring every car that goes in and out. For a while, it was a no-go zone, as you would enter at your own risk. Young black kids growing up in this type of setting more than likely get swallowed into the Black Pea Stones, the gang that has its area on deadlock. This neighborhood is so deep and active that you basically are a member by living there. BPS recruits heavily, but the actual put-on process is not easy and is selective. Nitmare would join BPS in his early teen years. Infant Nitmare made it a point to be a standout member from jump. He was considered a part of the 10% of gang members who are really active in the field. These are the real line pushers, patrolling the neighborhood and banging on people. Nitmare was always known to carry a gun. He primarily focused on the top shooters from rival gangs and prioritized knocking them off. By the time he was 17, he gained high status and rank.
Get your soldier boy looking at. Hey, but if Hollywood was a nightmare like that, it be these ones, you did.
Within BPS, his earned rank was a combination of factors. Nitmare was super solid and very respected, and was very ambitious to get money. He had a good record with the hands and was always down to fight. Alleged bodies and numerous attempts propelled his reputation as one of the top young shooters in South Central. Nitmare was down to kill and do life in prison or die himself in the process. After the Rolling 40s and the Harlem 30s, Nitmare hated 18th Street the most. BPS and 18th Street's war goes back decades. In the mid-90s, a few 18th Streeters lived in the Jungles off Ursula Avenue in one apartment. They tried to set up shop and sling drugs on that block. BPS told them it was a no-go. When the Ursula clique continued to sales when things got hectic, after Ursula got pressed, the Rancho clique and some other gunners from other cliques responded with gunfire. BPS responded with full court pressure, shooting up Ursula Ave every day. Shootouts would occur from out the window onto the street and from apartment to apartment in the Jungles. It was so much heat the Ursula clique had to vacate the Jays and stay in the Rancho Park clique's hood. The Rancho Park clique were firing back on Ursula's behalf. Even black kids walking to Dorsey High School were getting shot. Most of the Ursula locals were wound up getting absorbed into the Outsets clique, and that's who's been in the thick of it with BPS, along with the Smiley Drive clique. Nitmare was known for bouncing out, pop out, and shoot you type, but he also had a sneaky side. On one hot night, Nitmare ventured into 18th Street's turf. There he spotted 3 18th Streeters outside on the street talking. Nitmare allegedly got out on foot, crept up from behind, and domed the 18th Streeter. 2 additional shots were fired, but they both missed the other targets. Nitmare gathered himself and fled off into the night. The sneak attack was allegedly one of his first bodies, and the 18th Streeters got a clear view of his face. After that murder, Nitmare briefly shifted his focus to another enemy that was in close proximity, the West Boulevard Crips. Allegedly, there was some back and forth dialogue being exchanged on social media. Threats like "you know what it is when I see you" were being sent. And it didn't take long. Nitmare allegedly spots him near the intersection of Crenshaw and Adams. These cross streets is a point of conflict, as multiple gangs lurk near these borders and often are bound to run into each other. After spotting him, Nitmare allegedly chased his victim down in the streets and completed his mission. There's no one Nitmare hated more than the Rolling 40s. In fact, this has been BPS's top enemy for more than a decade, especially among the younger generation. Nitmare labeled himself Mr. 40K, and he earned that title.
It's crazy because that first pic that showed with the boy with the glasses on, he didn't look like he get active like that. But damn, buddy, you got to stand for your hood. You born in, I guess, when you out there in that world of politics, you did because you born in it, bro. Like, damn.
Shooting up the 40s on a weekly basis, from the avenues to Parkside, but especially the dark side were all getting lit up. Nitmare was putting in a ton of work and was becoming a true nightmare in the streets. His name rang bells, and his gunplay put everyone on notice. He was an active shooter and had no intention of slowing down. As Nitmare rose to one of the top doubters in the city, he began to prioritize killing other top shooters from rival hoods. Africa, also known as Tiny J Stone, was an extremely active, high-ranking member from the 89 East Coast Crips. Fast forward to July 29th, 2018, at 12:40 a.m. Africa is hanging out with rolling 40 members near 43rd of Vermont. Nitmare and other BPS members all saw it that night, driving around looking for a 40 Crip to kill. They end up pulling up to 43rd of Vermont and find just what they were looking for: Africa and a few rolling 40 Crip members. That's a 2-for-1 special in Nitmare's eyes. Nitmare then jumps out and specifically tries to kill Africa first. He lets off numerous shots, and bullets start flying. But instead of hitting Africa, a 40 Crip named Tiny Hardhead got hit. 2 others were also shot. Hardhead was pronounced dead in the street at 12:50 a.m. Nitmare and another gunman ran to 2 separate vehicles, which fled the scene. Tiny Hardhead was a factor in the 40s, and he was known for shooting and pressing the issue.
Hardhead is that trip.
They gon' phone your mic, bro. I ain't even on no C making, bro. Gon' phone your mic, pop.
He on the phone calling his homies.
I pop that y'all niggas. Y'all niggas don't do nothing, nigga. I'm voting for you. I'll stay shooting y'all niggas. All right. Let me get business out there. Watch your bag.
It's 4 of y'all though. It's only 3 of them.
Which I need a burner, cuz. We don't got no burner. Let's get our head up, cuz.
Originally, when he was killed, there was speculation in the city whether it was the 5 Deuce Hoovers or BPS's work. But as Nitmare got away that night, Africa got a glimpse of his face. Nitmare was wearing a hoodie, and it was dark, but Africa was almost certain.
So he letting you know this boy wants you to see his face and his work, because he going on drills with his face out. So he ain't giving no else you did. Damn.
It was him. Africa then told the 40s who he thought he saw, and word traveled to the 50s. Tiny Hardhead was deeply connected to the 557s, so both hoods took this loss personally. Retaliation was guaranteed. The Junglers were shot up weekly for almost 2 months. And for good measure, the 557s and 40s also hit up 5 Deuce for a good 2 months also. The results were 3 people dead, but their main prize was still lurking around in the shadows. That's until October 3rd, 2018, shortly after 5 p.m. Nitmare was standing on the sidewalk with a couple brims in their territory. 2 people then walked up and began firing at the group, striking Nitmare and 2 others. Bodies dropped to the ground, and everyone tries to flee. Nitmare was taken to a hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 5:51 p.m. Rumors spread that the alleged gunman was a Rolling 40s member and a stud from 50s, and some people were shocked that it was a female shooter involved. Now that the trophy was gone, BPS responded with full force, and the 40s felt major impact in the months that followed. After Nitmare's death, he was super dissed all over social media from various hoods. Roller 40 members even dropped diss songs mocking his death. That's a clear indication of how much of a problem he was in the streets. The top shooters usually don't last long.
Shit like that, shit like this, he don't even look like it. He don't look like he get active, but Buddy was getting active, doing drills with no mask on.
An outcome is either early death or life in prison. BPS is still honoring Nitmare to this day. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like.
RP all them soldiers that lost their life in they war. You did. They fight for what they believe in. Ain't nothing different for the soldiers going to fight for the war, for oil and stuff. You did. They got a boss, so he had a boss. He fight for his hood. They be fighting for the country. The soldiers, you did. The soldiers fight for our country. You did. But RP them soldiers, man, they lost their life. RP all them soldiers, man.